Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Let's speak a little bit on dealing with negativity. We'll talk a little on what is negativity, really. Um, the topic is interesting because people think of negativity as being a real thing, you know, and positivity as well, you know. And in its essence, it's all a subjective thing, right? What some people think is negative, other people think is positive. What some people think is positive, other people think is negative. Who's right? You know? What's the truth? Have we ever wondered if our perception on reality was a little bit skewed, a little off? I'd say if you're seeing negativity in the world, there may be a little bit of something inside of you that you're seeing. What is negativity, right? Negativity is like resistance to life, resistance to reality, resistance to the flow, whatever you want to call it. Negativity is it's a charge in consciousness. Positivity is a charge in consciousness. It's a direction of focus, direction of intention. You see? So it's like a perspective which you identify with, and then you focus your attention on whatever part of reality is reflecting that perspective, you know? So it's like some people who are extremely negative, quote unquote, they are always resisting life, right? Never anything going their way. And if it does go their way, well, that was them who did it, right? And they get to claim that for a couple of seconds and then gone. Oh man, you see what I mean? So the negativity is an interesting thing because it flows through and you get positivity out of it, right? But like, what kind of a positive experience is just a tiny little glimpse of happiness and then just like negative feelings all the time? What kind of a positive experience is closing off your heart to entirety of reality and just trying to find joy inside of your own ego self? You know, like what is this ego self anyway? It's just gonna die. And we're born and we're die. You know, like what is this? You know, this limited happiness. You know, like identifying with these little pleasures and pain. You know, in order to go negative, you got to really enjoy pain. Some part of you has to enjoy pain. You may not identify with it on the like on the surface level, but uh, in order for you to be negatively polarized, you have to be attached to pain because that's part of the experience. It's learning through resistance, you know. I mean, eventually people can get to a point where they can mitigate pain, meaning they close their heart to everything and they don't feel pain from doing anything anymore. But what kind of existence is that? You know what I mean? Like just being empty, you know, like it seems very lonely. That's the whole result of negativity: loneliness, separation, depression, boredom, infinite suffering, misery, difficulties, all that stuff, right? So once we really understand the essence of negativity, we can attempt to shift our perspective into a way which is in the flow of life, in the moment. I can feel the wind on the body. I can hear the birds in the air. This moment is all that is. Everything is here. All positivity is here. All negativity is here. It's all here in this moment, right here. And really, once you get to a point of experiencing both sides enough, you can see the essence of reality in everything. You can see the essence of reality in everything. What does that mean? The essence of reality is ultimately positive. It's ultimately loving. It's ultimately good. God is good. God is gracious, like that kind of thing. So, God is good, right? It is goodness, ultimate goodness. So, once you know God, you know positive, you know negative, you don't distinguish good from bad. It's all good. Everything is good. It's all perfect. It's all love, joy, happiness, bliss, whatever you want to call it. So the ultimate experience of negativity, meaning like the end goal of the negative path, ultimately is positive, right? Like it has to shift its perspective eventually. It cycles itself out of everything to the point where it realizes that it is no longer separate from everything. And how could it not love? Like if the essence of negativity is selfishness, service to self, love of the self in the form of control. If you're trying to control yourself ultimately, then when you realize that everything is you, which is the ultimate realization, right? Like you get to the essence of negativity. Once you separate it all, right? Like you realize I am God, right? Like that's like their realization. And then they try to use that power for a little bit and they realize that it's all themselves, right? Like they're only trying to control themselves. And the whole thing has been in control of itself the whole time. You never had to do anything. You never had to try, you didn't have to put in so much effort. If you just went with the flow of life, then it would have just unfolded the same way anyways, without all the misery and suffering. And that's when you laugh, because you're like, I love the game of life. You know what I mean? I love the game of life. It brought me suffering and misery, and now it brings me ultimate bliss. What a wonderful show, Every good movie has ups and downs in it, It's got a hero and a villain. How could the hero become itself without the villain? Right? But if you identify with the villain, what's your ultimate goal, right? The villain has to die. That's the point of the movie. Every hero's story, right? It's the protagonist is met with obstacles, with difficulties, right? Negativity. And that negative force takes its form in the form of the villain, right? The hero goes and slays the villain, and justice is restored in the balance of the universe, right? It's pretty much every hero story, This life is our hero story. It's what it is. Dealing with negativity, understand negativity. What is negativity? What is positivity? What is reality, really? It's the play of positive and negative together, right? You can't love one side and hate another side and think that you know reality. You have to see that God is present here, God is present there, God is present in the positive, God is present in the negative, God is present in everything. Once you see that, everything becomes God, everything becomes bliss, everything becomes love, joy, happiness, whatever you want to call it. It's funny because like I talk about how I want to talk about one thing, and then I have to keep going into the essence of these things. Because if you don't understand the essence of it, how could you understand what I'm talking about when I'm trying to tell you even deeper ways of trying to express or experience that positive, that ultimate positive nature. Dealing with negativity is not about changing the circumstances and situations in your life. Dealing with negativity is dealing with the negativity inside yourself. Learn how to convert all of these energies into love in yourself. Learn to love everything. Find love in everything. Look for the little kernel of love in everything. Once you can see that in yourself, right? Like you look into your own experience, right? You learn to love yourself. You learn to love everything about whatever it is that you're expressing, right? Don't say this is bad and this is good about myself, accept both of them, right? And choose what you want to express. Once you choose that, positive or negative, meaning like I want to be ultimately positive or I want to be ultimately negative, right? Once you choose based on understanding the whole, right? Then you can start actually moving forward in creating that expression or experience inside of yourself. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Gurudev.